You're muted.
I'm muted now?
He called you a mutant.
Really muted?
As a truth. He's mean. Yeah, you were muted. No one could hear you. Now we can hear you. Can we hear you?
I'm not muted. Is it muted? I don't know
Nope.
what this thing
Fine.
is doing. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Whatever, StreamYard, you piece of shit. All right, anyways, here we are. We're going to be talking about some spoilers, maybe little baby spoilers from Star Wars Ahsoka, and we're going to talk about Jedi Fallen Order 2, the Jedi Survivor survives. And as a truth, probably going to talk a little bit about great theaters in London for. Did you see it in London where you saw Avatar and it was crazy?
This is the typical American thing every single time.
I know you're in Nottingham.
No, yes, nowhere near.
But you mentioned London theaters right before we started, and that
but I was on about that. I know, but that's what I said. I heard the prices were,
and then best
as if you're rages
in Wales.
You know what I mean? He gets real angry on this show.
Okay, so that's
just chill out, buddy. Don't get so mad, man.
This guy saying, "Don't get mad."
Typical Brit, just getting mad at the Americans for being stupid. That's why you got rid of us, right?
No, that's why.
Remember all the Americans that used to live there, Jason, and then they're like, get rid of them, and they sent the Americans back where they came from.
He's polite.
Right, and how it went.
He's British polite, which is why he's like, "Excuse me, can you please just shut the fuck up a little bit?"
To be honest, Jason, I thought he was Swedish. Like, this is news to me. So. Yeah.
Wait, is he a PewDiePie?
I thought he was a PewDiePie. I thought he was one of those. Yeah, they're all. Okay. I thought they're all from Sweden. My bad.
Not true at all. Not true.
Okay, I learned something.
All right, so here we go. Here's the story. If it, my computer is just being a dick today. It's just gonna do what it's gonna do. So, who is Babylon in Star Wars Ahsoka? Is it Ray Stevenson? Pretty sure it's Ray Stevenson, in case you don't know. Who is Babylon? This is from MakingStarWars.net, a website that I own and operate. Over the last few months, I have heard the name Babylon mentioned in relation to Grand Admiral Thrawn in Star Wars Ahsoka. This character is really important and has an assassin and featured droid under his command. Babylon has come up a lot in conversations with my sources from Manhattan Beach, El Segundo. While Babylon is an interesting choice for a new character's name, I don't think it's a code name, but like anything, until it's confirmed, it could be. I would put the chances of Babylon being a code very low at this point in time. Perhaps the name is representative of the character's place in the story. Babylon was an empire. Ashoka the Great was an emperor, and it sounds a lot like Ahsoka, for instance. Or maybe that's a reach. So Ray Stevenson, ? If you're listening to this as audio. I believe this new character is played by Ray Stevenson. THR, that's the Hollywood Reporter, reported Stevenson was joining the Ahsoka cast and was, quote, not Thrawn, end quote, who is being played by Lars Mikkelsen in the series, and who looks really tall and imposing in the part. Like, I'm not even kidding you guys. Like, you don't really get that Thrawn's like 6'4", 6'5", like, until you see Lars as Thrawn.
Just
Thrawn
like you, Jason.
Just like
people
me.
Don't know you're tall.
People think I'm just a little guy, but I'm a big guy.
I thought you were a little guy. I mean,
I know. It's surprising. Yeah. I'm like, you think I'm a little guy? I'm a big guy. Thrawn is sounding pretty neat in this show at the moment.
Hold on. You get on the rides, right? Like
oh, yeah. I get on all the rides. I'm a big guy.
Yeah. Right. I don't know why. I love that. Okay.
They say, hey, big guy, you're too fat for the ride. Get off of it. And then I can't ride it.
Favreau's like, I know what he means. I know what
he's saying. Me and Favreau, we could fuck up a buffet together. I'll tell you that much. I'm not sure if Babylon is in charge of the, quote, new forces Thrawn commands, or I don't know why I said quote, or the civilizations out in this unexplored territory of the Star Wars universe, but it's very important to the series and has a lot of screen time. So Babylon has a lot of screen time. By all accounts, this character answers to Thrawn and appears to be loyal to him. But I can't say if he is in actuality. There could be a twist or caveat in the relationship, that I just don't know.
All right. Okay.
In attempting to put the pieces together, it seems as if Babylon and his assassin are tied to Thrawn, having his army, quote, resurrected by dark side shadow magics. I'm not fucking around when I say that either. I'm like really serious. Like dark side shadow magics with a K. Like literally, we're talking big titty goth girlfriend meme magics with the
Yeah.
okay.
You imagine if this Three Stooges had lived long enough to be like Star Wars fans. He's like, you dog say shadow magics. You shouldn't be shadow magics, right? Smacking him.
Yeah, shadow magic.
Yeah, shadow magic. You use shadow magic. You think you're so smart, you know?
So our grand admiral has been a busy boy while in exile, making new friends and preparing to challenge the New Republic's dominance over the known regions. It seems Babylon is apparently just the ally he needs in this endeavor. So, and this is where I get into the stuff where I'm like, well, but what about Ezra? What about Ezra? Rob's favorite band, better than Ezra. I speculate this means that Ezra and Thrawn have long parted ways once we get into the thick of the series. My impression is those two might not have seen one another for some time, like maybe years. I wonder what Ezra has been doing all this time Thrawn has been on the move. Is he seeking to counter Thrawn or just surviving in the wilderness? Because that's what it sounds like he's doing. Also related to Thrawn and Babylon is a cyborg droid kind of character named Karnast. However, it sounds like this character might be a dark trooper type and not a droid in totality. Point being, Karnast serves Thrawn and Babylon, but is different from Babylon's assassin character. And then I say, I like Ray Stevenson. I can't wait to learn more about this Babylon character. What does he want? Why serve Thrawn? Does he have ulterior motives for conquering the galaxy, or is Thrawn promising him something he needs? And I can't wait to learn more. Then I tell everybody to like the channel, subscribe to it, and how you could become a Patreon member or a channel member and all of that jazz to support the show if you like it. Oh, and the little thing here, the spellings of these character names are assumptions.
Yeah,
that's
assumptions.
Yeah. So, anyways,
assumptions. Yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's so we won't see. You know, I don't think we're gonna see a big ass Baylon. You know what I mean? Like whatever his name was. You know what I mean? Like, hey, how's it going? I'm Baylon. I'll fucking kill you. Yeah, the other Baylon in the books was a total fucking whatever, man. But I'll fucking kill you. Like that's Ray Stevenson's. You know.
Sounds like Alex Jones became Baylon.
Right.
The Blue World Order, you know, like I'll shut it at wrong series, buddy. You know, nice try. Nice try.
Hey, Nick from Bestman Bulletin's Bob podcast is here.
Oh, big fan of that guy.
Going?
Nice hair.
Nikolai
lives in a forest. Lives in Sherwood.
I'm not sure how to say your last name, because I've heard it mocked by somebody on your podcast so many times. I'm not even sure what's real anymore. Sounds like it might be karma. Anyways, yeah. But hey guys, how's everybody doing? A reach around. I mean, emotional evolution's in here trying to get lucky. I hope it works out for you, bud. I hope it does work. I hope everything that you're looking for happens.
Force reach around, really. But,
yeah. A screech around.
Screech around. Too soon. Too soon.
Too soon.
Rest in peace. Rest in
peace. Yeah, poor Screech. Remember there was that rumor about Urkel being in this? Remember that?
Yeah, we did that one.
We didn't do it. We covered it.
We didn't
do it though. Yeah, we just covered
that
it.
out there. I was like,
we're not responsible for Urkel, but
I am.
I tried to get more. I didn't get anywhere with it. I didn't get anywhere anywhere with Urkel. Yeah, I kind of like maybe Urkel's not true. Maybe Urkel's not in this.
Did you ask about Stefan? Maybe they're being cheeky.
Fuck, dude. You got a good point, dude. Because I mean, they couldn't be more different.
Right. They couldn't be more different. You know those sources, Jason. They're like,
right.
They got a little Jay Leno squirrely, you know?
It can be like genie logic, you know? Like, you know, like you asked for this and that's what you got. But it's like, but you didn't tell me about the fact that if I asked for $1 million, it was going to fall on me in a piece of lead and kill me, you know, that kind of thing.
By the way, Jason, most Seinfeld you ever sound like.
Yeah.
Like, you can ask for $1 million. Like you did. You got to wheel that one back and listen after the show. You'll hear it.
Okay.
Ask for $1 million. Yeah.
All right.
I didn't make the Urkel scoop. It wasn't me.
Army,
The denials. The denials. Like you take credit for so many scoops, but the Urkel one, you were like, that wasn't me.
that wasn't me.
Don't.
If it's
For shame.
if it's true, I mean, because I had Apollo Creed. I had Apollo Creed and Mando. That's one of my favorite things ever. I was like reporting it, and I'm like, fuck, if this is wrong, I'm gonna sound so fucking stupid saying
That's
that
true.
Apollo Creed is in
Real
the
fucking
Mandalorian
stupid.
show.
Yeah.
And then, but I really wanted it to be true. And then it turns out the parking garage that looks over the Mando set is on Apollo Street. I'm like, come on, this has to
a
be
big
this
fucking
that-
idiot.
This
You
has to
sound
be
just
fake.
like, I mean, right?
This has
Right
to
as a tree, you'd sound like a real fucking dumbass, wouldn't he?
So,
No? All right. I tried.
oh, and then I think Ahsoka might be done filming, but I'm not totally 100% sure about that. Like
Right
things
after we're Dune.
well, things wind down. Like that's the whole thing. Is sometimes things just kind of wind down, and I feel like Ahsoka's been kind of on the wind down, but also with and anyways, I don't want to get into it, but yeah. Kay says, is the leaks about Anakin true? Well, I put up a story a few days ago about Ahsoka glimpsing a fight, an alternate reality fight between her and Anakin in the world between worlds.
Yeah,
but
you made that up.
It doesn't but it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. That's the whole thing. There's like people like on Twitter, like going to town going, this means like whatever they want it to mean. Either retcons the whatever, or she's going to pull Anakin out and kiss him and they're going to fuck and fall in love and have babies and he's not going to do anything bad. And it's like, no, he already killed the kids in that moment. Like he already did that, Padme.
Iger's back for 10 minutes and they're already fucking on Disney Plus. You know what I mean? Like didn't take them long.
But yeah, but it is true though. It is true.
I didn't realize how big that story was going to be. Like it was pretty big. Like a lot of people are.
You wouldn't know by our engagement. You know, right? Is it true? Like
yeah. Everyone just takes your story, but I mean, at least they linked to you this time. Usually they don't link.
Did they though? Like,
so one account did.
Yeah,
most people just didn't.
The important one did. The important one did.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it's like they've been doing this for years without linking anything. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like
I
run a Twitter account that's just for Star Wars gaming news. And at the end of every tweet, there's a link. It's not that hard to Control C and Control V and paste in the link, but these people just don't care. And it's ridiculous.
And hey, when they do it, I appreciate it. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, I'm going to take myself out of this to not seem like I'm bitching about myself. But let's talk about our buddy Bespin. Remember last week when he was out there in sunny Wales, going around in that hot sun, just with some shorts and flip flops, finding all of those sets from Acolyte and reporting on it and stuff like that.
A little bit.
Like the guy, I'm not going to speak for him, and I don't know what he made from it. But in terms of like actual profit compared to what it costs to drive out there and to walk around and the time spent and stuff like that, even if he got paid, he probably did it at cost. It probably evened out, if that. He probably.
So you're saying that if he didn't make enough money on the scoops, that it's a big failure. Like he didn't like it. Like, can we track the number of box office, the scoop receipts?
No,
right?
But
scoops per.
No, so what I'm saying is that when somebody goes and legitimately gets a scoop and you know that they're not bullshitting, that they're not lying and stuff like that,
right?
Like it's the very least you can do, especially when generally speaking, when me and Bespin do what we do, for instance, everybody wins. Everybody profits. Like I appreciate Star Wars Theory citing me. Star Wars Theory is fucking winning out more than I'm gonna fucking worlds more, thousands of dollars more. Like we all win. There's no reason to treat scoopers as if they need to be gate kept or something like that. Especially when all of this shit's built around cults of personality, anyways. You know what I mean? It's not like the Star Wars Theory people would like me. They wouldn't. I won't tell them, like, I don't share that like same like angle. So I won't tell them what they want to hear, and then they just get mad at me. And then so it would never work. So it's like, anyways, but I'm not picking on theory for the record. And Harloff mentioned me, which is super appreciated. You know what I mean? And it's like,
congrats to Harloff on the Cassian interview there, right? What's his face? Diego Luna, right?
Oh, you got a Diego Luna interview?
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Yeah, I recommend. Most of those actor interviews I don't, but he's fun to listen to. It's got some good stuff in there.
I prepared for one. Like, it's like, what's Bix doing? What's Bix smell like?
Smell like, oh Jesus! You imagine the look on an actor's face when you're like, "What does your coworker smell like?" Jesus.
Have you ever, after Bix drinks from a glass, have you ever like put the glass in your backpack and your lipstick, anything like that?
Jason.
Just the normal interview questions that one has.
You're creeping out Mike Perry. You're creeping him out.
Oh. Yeah, I think we're on the same page. I don't even know who you're talking about. I don't know.
As the truth's just ducking out of frame while you're
as the truth's like,
I'm not going to be associated with that.
I'm not with this weird Christmas guy. Nick says Bestman does it for the greater good. Yeah, he does. But once again, that's why we cite each other. It's nice. And also, I didn't get it. I didn't bring it up, but there was a couple of like official synopsis or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the one for Ahsoka, I feel like is kind of talking about what I've been talking about. It talks about like a new threat and shit. And it says that Ahsoka is like dealing with a new threat. And basically out in a new place. And then there's some other stuff kind of for Mandalorian and stuff like that was interesting. So I'll probably pull this up in a bit. But let's talk about Jedi Survivor, because we got Azatru here. And Azatru, if he knows one thing, Jedi Survivor stuff. I'm always like, hey, Azatru, guess what I heard? There's different stances in the game. And he's like, yeah, you idiot. We already knew that. And I'm like, oh, okay, man. How about you just come on the show and just fucking tell me instead?
Hey, Azatru, do you know that the guys that were the Lego dudes that were working on Solo were trying to put live action Lego people in that movie? Did you hear about that?
That's not true.
No, it totally happened. They were trying to put live action Lego people in the Solo movie just to get that gamer money.
No, he's bullshitting.
No?
He's lying. So this is from GameInformer.com by Matt Miller. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. New details set the stage.
Yes.
The sequel to Star Wars Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, was announced some time ago, but developer Respawn Entertainment has remained mostly silent on what to expect. That changed earlier this month when a new gameplay trailer pulled the veil back on several new gameplay features, not to mention an impending March release date. We followed up with game director Stig Asmussen.
It's Asmussen, I think.
Asmussen? To learn more details about the anticipated title. So one of the most notable additions is the arrival of several new fighting stances for Cal Kestis. So
we got Drunken Monkey. Oh, you think he's got the Drunken Monkey? That's my favorite one. Where
it's like Ataru Form 1, Ataru Form 2. I don't know.
Ace Ventura has that Drunken Monkey stance. It's so good.
Is that stuff like canon? I don't remember now. If that that the old fighting stances.
Okay. Right now, Jason, for the old guys in the room, right? Which wins out? The crane kick or that flip kick from no retreat, no surrender?
Oh, the fucking crane kick does, because it's fucking cool. Like
the other one beat Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
So,
but here's the truth is that Steven Skull can't really do either of them without falling over. So I'm going to call them both wins for humanity.
The greatest shame in the world is that they didn't trick him to be in everywhere all at once to get him to do stupid like martial arts. Like
I was at, I think it was like the Rebels screening, and there was like a bunch of Lucasfilm people talking about like lightsaber stances and making them canon, and they were like, we shouldn't do it because the movies will never stick to it. It doesn't make sense. It's like we'd already be breaking our own canon. And then there were people that were like, well, but we're going to have like conversations about this in stories. And then now we have this game, and it's like, so, but this game, I think, must be sort of like the compromise, or the solution is simply that people don't use one form, as we see in this thing. This character is going to go and use. Oh, hey, how's
Jason.
it going?
Yeah, I was talking to Rian. He was gonna do a Haldokin. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna do a Haldokin, Haldokin maneuver. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Mm.
That'd be cool. So we have 5 fully. Dave, we have Dave. Check this out. We have 5 fully realized stances in this game. So a lot of it depends on the enemy that you're coming across. It's advantageous to use certain types of stances against certain types of enemies, and it's up to the player to figure that out. It requires the player to break down the enemies and figure out what the best weapon of choice is.
And when I finally get rid of Kathy, I'm going to use them around the office. Just right around the office. I'm going to come around. Like, they're never going to know, Jason, where I'm coming from. Because I sneak in, I do stance number 4. Right? I just throwing out all my ideas, beating the shit out of everybody. Can't wait.
Yeah.
All right. It's good.
Last night, my son was playing Fallen Order, and he got to the end, like where Darth Vader shows up. And then, like, what's her name? Seer, the like Jedi Master that Cal Kestis has. She just like gets pushed off the side. She's like, Roop.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny. It was pretty funny when I was watching it.
One day, anytime, that's what happened to Chapek. He was just standing outside this. I just pushed him. That's how you went.
Shit. There was actually an article I wanted to bring up about that. I saw it yesterday. It was like this article from, I think it was from Business Insider, and it was talking about how like Chapek like never like left, never gave. I'm sorry, Iger like never gave up like his office or something.
No,
like at Disney,
no.
and was just like continually talking shit about Chapek like the whole time. Like yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty fun. All right. Anyways, the new stances,
I gotta go play some Wii. Bye.
All right, bye. The new stances include a dedicated dual blade option, showing Kestis flipping and spinning his 2 separate blades at high speed. A separate new stance finds the Jedi wielding a blaster and lightsaber simultaneously. So this isn't like a Taru Form 4 and shit like that. This is something totally different. Adding a new range dynamic to his moves. It really speaks to where we find Cal in this part of the story. It's 5 years since the first game, and the dark times are still in full swing. He's an unconventional Jedi, and he has to do unconventional things. He's got to.
I'm just being honest. You're turning Filoni on right now. Like,
I know.
Can you imagine swinging? You're talking about doing his thing. You know, you keep it up, Cal's he's gonna come back.
Right. I mean, Cal's got to pay for college somehow. So something that would be frowned upon.
Only Feds. Sorry, I just got to put that one out there.
During the height of the Jedi Order, Cal's finding he's going to do whatever it takes. Oh shit, Cal!
Are you sure Filoni didn't write this? Mark Miller. All right, or Mike Miller.
I'm not
sure.
I can't say for. I can't. Yeah, he might have.
Sure.
I mean, did he or didn't he? He might have. But
some people.
Yeah. So, anyways, so players, there's a new heavy stance, leveraging the crossguard style lightsaber made familiar by Kylo Ren. It's a more confident approach. It's weighty, it's beefy, but you have to be very measured on how you use it because the timing windows are longer with the blade. So it's like a slower, like heavy kind of like movement, I guess, if you use that one. More like a broadsword as opposed to like a little katana kind of.
I wonder if this has anything to do with like that Elden Ring sort of Demon Souls gameplay with the weapons, right? How they've asked.
You're playing Elden Ring. We're all so old here. Everybody's old. Sorry, but yeah, I think so. Like that's one of the I think the fun parts about that game is like when you find like a really powerful weapon, you're like, oh shit, this is different than how I've been playing, and then you gotta try to make it work or not use it and just feel really sad about it. Which is kind of what I usually do when I play Elden Ring. But I played Elden Ring.
I use the knife
for like hours, and then all of a sudden I just forgot about it. Like, I
Well,
just
on Demon Souls, I
fucking-
use the knife, the tiny
Yeah.
knife. I just like to shank
Well-
people really quick. Yeah, just like they're in the hood. Got you. Like prison. Like prison.
Rabble. Yeah.
Remember how the Punisher did it in that series, in the Daredevil series? He got that guy, or they got the Punisher. That's how they got him.
Did you play Elden Ring as a true? Did you try that shit?
No,
No?
I did not. I've not played any Souls games, to be honest. It's just not something I've really been interested in trying. I was interested in like Elden Ring. I was like, yeah, I've just got so much else, like so many other games to play. So
Yeah, it's a weird game in that it is like really good. It's kind of overrated. Like people kind of love it, like I think more than they should, maybe, or at least more
I feel like this is probably with Fallen Order to an extent as well, because I think there's very few things I have wrong with it, but I think some people just say it's like, you know, one of the best games ever made. But you know,
isn't it?
Bespin definitely doesn't think it is at all. But yeah, I think it's most of the fact that a lot of the people that played it are mostly just Star Wars fans. They don't play that many games, to be honest. And it's just a good game. Like it's a really good all-round game. It's got some flaws, but at the same time, for a first attempt, like they did a pretty good job.
Like at a game ever, like
yeah. It's a weird one. Like in the for me, in the sense that my son loves it. My son is like that's like his like Star Wars game. That's like the one that he was like, this shit's great. You know what I mean? Like
I can tell you from like what I've seen on Twitter, Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor stuff has done more like numbers than anything else. Like easily, like people love Cal, people love the crew, they love the idea. Like this game for them is like their Star Wars story more than a lot of the films, to be honest. And I think a lot of people sort of underestimate that. They don't really think that, but it's really, really big.
Well, like I was, where was it? I heard, I think it was my buddy Star Wars Meg, and then I didn't get to like say it. I think it was on Santa's show last time. She was like, I think Grogu and like Cal are the future of Star Wars, you know? And then and I was like, I wanted to say, I think that's actually right now. Like, I don't think it's the future. I think that's actually here. And what I wanted to say that I didn't get to say in that conversation was that, like, I can't remember what the number is, but it's something ridiculous. Bespin told it to me. He said it to me. It was like 90 million copies of the game or something ridiculous.
So yeah, it's not quite that much, but
okay. What is it? Yeah, I'm sure with numbers.
Yeah, so Fallen Order last publicly announced numbers by EA, which was when it came to Game Pass, was 30 million players.
30
more than
million
30 million. Now, before it came to Game Pass, it was something like 20 million copies sold or thereabouts.
Okay.
So it looks like they got about 10 million through Game Pass. It's also been like it might have been like it was released for free on like Amazon Prime and stuff like that. So it's definitely done pretty well. And then when you look at Battlefront's above that. But in terms of a Star Wars story, like let's say it sold 30 million copies. How many people are watching, like, in comparison to the shows? That's quite a lot, I would imagine. Like, I can't imagine, you know, hundreds of millions of people are watching the shows. Like, it's nowhere near that, isn't it?
No, and that's where I was going with this, is that like Cal Kestis jumping over to a cartoon would be a huge step down from the platform that character currently has in that game. They would actually they would lose all. He would, if he was real, it would be a step down. In the sense that, like, let's just give him the original sales number. What was you say? It was 30 million copies were sold.
I think it's probably like about, let's say it's 20 million copies sold, 30 plus. But that's the thing. That was, I think it came to Game Pass maybe, well, been like 2 years ago. So in the last 2 years, it's consistently been in the top 20 PlayStation most downloaded charts, like every single month. Yeah. Like literally, I check. It's the only Star Wars game. It's above most new games. It's always there. You know, you got up to like when Celebration came around, it was like the 6th most downloaded game 3 years after release, stuff like that. It's consistently in the top most downloaded on Xbox. So people are either coming to it for the first time or coming back to it. And I think a lot of people are going back to it because they've played it once. Oh, I need to play it for the new one, this, that, and the other. But yeah, it's huge. And I think people want Cal in live action. And if he does go to animation, it's a joke.
Yeah.
Well,
you can't do that.
The problem with that is that one thing kills the other thing. If he gets into live action, then all of a sudden what they could do in the games now becomes like, oh, you know what? It's a fucking hassle. We'll just create Sal or whatever. They just like
Sal.
change it. Yeah,
Sal was.
The only way I could see it working is, given that there's probably going to be a third game, they would have to put him in a live action show between now and the third game. And
with real shoddy visual effects, right? That's true.
Oh.
Like real shoddy visual effects. Just makes you appreciate the game more. Just so you go, you know what?
Yeah.
I wish these did look like video games because then they'd look better.
But what we actually have though is a game that was played by 90 million people. Or sorry, 90, I got 90 in my head. 30 million people, and then we see that it goes and then it informs the Kenobi stuff, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it does. It
like
that informs that as opposed to the other way. Like I think that in a big way people are looking at this wrong. What? Thank you, Santa, for Merry Christmas, Santa. I think Santa likes my getup today. He says, I once lost a channel member because I couldn't help him get back on his basketball team. How should a young French student get back on his basketball team? Fallen Order. If he learns how to live in the family and the crew of the ship of Fallen Order, then he can learn how to be back on a basketball team. At the end, he's going to decide that he has to destroy that holocron for the future. You're not destroying the future when you destroy that holocron. You're saving it, and that's what he would realize. Santa, Merry Christmas, Santa. Thank you, Santa.
When you was on about Kenobi, it's really strange because they did change the design of Fortress Inquisitorius from the game. And a lot of people were quite upset about that. And it's really strange because like the story group and people like that at Lucasfilm love Fallen Order. Like it's one of their most loved possessions that they've created. And that's why they've been trying to put like Cal here, there, everywhere, connect things up. And it was just a bit strange that that visual effect was wrong. Like they changed that. And it's definitely
Joby Harold said, "Fuck that!" Right, right, Jason. It was like
because
fuck
so much else of it was great. Like the interior looked just like it. Like the water area was just like it. It was just the actual main design. I don't know. Very strange.
Yeah. Well, I will say I'm somebody who played the game, enjoyed the game, and watched the show and didn't actually know it was different. I just thought I was maybe seeing different places.
I think it's because the shot that they show in the game is like so iconic. Like it's only on for a few seconds, but it shows Mustafar, and that's an image like people use all where it's got Mustafar in the background, and that's one of the most shared images of Fallen Order. It's all articles use it like this is Fallen Order. Like it's just a cool castle. It looks a bit like Vader's castle, and it's got Mustafar in the background. And Kenobi, it's like that, but it's like for me, it's like the worst part of the show because it's just like
it's like
I don't complain too much, but it's just a bit weird.
I don't even play the game and I complain. You know, for
you didn't play it, Rob?
Fallen Order, I played it. I didn't finish it. I played maybe 8 hours or so of it. Yeah, I play about 4 to 8 hours of a game, and then I figure I got my money's worth. You know, so, some games I finished like Dragon Quest, but.
So, in addition to the return of well-received characters like BD1 and Seer Jenda, Respawn is introducing new faces, including a mercenary named Bode Kuna. Kuna Matata, he and Cal form a special bond. It's almost like they're brothers, and they're not exactly the same, but they really do complement each other. So, Bode looks a lot like... Looks a lot like what was his name? The kid from Kenobi. The kid from Kenobi. Fucking the Jedi from the old video games, from the like Dark Forces or whatever. That Kyle Katarn.
Oh,
he's looking like Carl Katarn.
Katarn.
Carl Katarn. Yeah. I'm Carl Katarn. Welcome to your Star Wars video game. I'll play by Emilio Estevez's Barber. Sorry,
Cameron said like when he was making with interviews with Fallen Order, he really likes Kyle Katarn, and he grew up because he's sort of like, I think he's not 30, so he kind of grew up with like that sort of era of games, and he says like he wanted to like bring a bit of that into Cal in the first game and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, this new character, I don't know if it's related, but Jeff Grubb did say like before the game had even been announced, I think he had heard there's maybe multiple playable characters in the game. So everyone was assuming it was going to be Merrin, but I do wonder if maybe it's Bode, or maybe it's just that his sources, because he's like in playing with Cal at the same time.
Those like chain
he's
moves.
part. Yeah. Maybe that's what that's what they were saying, or maybe that there is like Merrin's a playable character in some way, or he's a playable character at some point because he's blaster focused. So maybe that's sort of how you customize your blaster. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. Hey, boyo.
Well, if you guys like the old Dark Forces, Build Engine Picks just put up the Force Engine's been released, which is Dark Forces available to be played on modern PC with high resolution, mouse look, and 3D rendering and stuff. Pretty fucking awesome. I'll put a link.
Cool.
There's the link to the Twitter.
Anyone under the age of 25 would prefer Battlefront. So
yeah, I was too poor to afford that shit, so I kind of missed it. So that guy wasn't like my, you know what I mean? Like that game was, I saw the box all the time and I'd be like, man, I wish I could play that, but I couldn't. So
well, we had this. My buddy had this. There was this guy he knew that needed like his horse stalls mucked, right?
Yeah.
So he'd pay us like $25 each to do all the stalls, and then he'd also fucking chip in pizza and let us use his computer. I was like, is he trying to rape us? This is all a little too good to be true, but you never know, right? I grew up with those 80s cards, the 80s shows were like, oh, this guy's being too nice to you. But no, he was just a cool dude. And he got Dark. He's the one who would
touch it. He didn't really.
Yeah, so he had Dark Forces and Full Throttle and all that shit, man. Like, and so after we got done with the work, we'd go in there, eat some pizza, and I'd fucking get to play a game. And I was like, this is, it was nice to have it's a Doom clone, but at least it put the weapon on the right-hand side of the screen, not dead fucking center, like an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I've never understood why the weapon's in the center. Is it sticking out his dick or something? Like, it's fucking weird, right? Like, yeah.
Okay. So yes, this is my $1. This is my Dollar Tree. It actually costs $1.25, 25% more than you thought, Meg. So
you snap! You know what I mean? Smacked her with that. That's right. What? All right, one of those moves.
Man, I was trying to find where I had those fucking synopses from. I wanted to get to those too in this episode, but I forgot where they are. What they are. Jedi Survivor embraces several new traversal mechanics. So that's like Tony, he does your brakes. You got Larry, he does windows, tints. There are several new traversal mechanics, allowing for each greater flexibility and exploration. That includes using an extension cable for climbing and crossing distant points, and Kestis's ability to tame and ride mounts. It's much of a wider, Metroidvania approach. Is this like a new word that gamers are using? Metroidvania.
A lot of people use it to describe these type of games. Yeah.
Jason doesn't understand video games. He only plays Fortnite. I'm sure he doesn't understand.
No, he plays Elden Ring. I've not.
Motherfucker, I beat Symphony of the Night, unlike you who played 2 hours of it and said I got my money's worth.
I bought it new, so I have my fucking copy right in the drawer, buddy. Don't even start with me.
Someday you're gonna finish it.
I bought that shit in '97. You know what? I got made fun of for buying it. People love to make fun of me for the things I like, Jason. I was the guy who walked into Software Etc. and bought a 2D video game in the height of the 3D craze and was laughed at by those fucking Software Etc. guys. Where are they now, Jason? Where are they now? Right?
Software Etc.
It really was tough to buy a 2D game in '97, man. It was, people were like, fucking 2D's dead. They think they ever could have seen the indie game scene, man, coming? Like
No, but it's fine. I mean, it's
I had to go to Hot Dog on a Stick and drown my sorrows and catch up. And
it's like they had to do that like paradigm shift. You have to do it. And when the paradigm shifts, some people get mad and everything turns on each other and all that, and that's just what happened in that one. But anyway, so now we got
Flash
words like
games will come back in
Metroidvania.
the future. Jason, you think Flash games will come back in the future? Like something we couldn't predict now? Like everyone will be into elf bowling 20 years from now? Like all the indie devs are like, I grew up with this. It used to come to my email for free. Like, yeah. No?
I don't unless the hamster dance or whatever becomes like a #1 hit. I don't think so.
The Newgrounds kids.
Cal can cross huge gaps by chaining several types of skills together. But it's about how we approach these mounts and how they're used to negotiate and dominate the world. So it sounds like in order to get a mount, you're gonna have to do some Ezra Bridger shit, right? You have to be like Crocodile Dundee, where he's like doing this to like the animal, and the animal's like in a hypnotic daze, and now it does whatever Crocodile Dundee wants. Remember that shit?
You know why he learned how to do that in the Outback. You know, it gets lonely, Jason. It gets lonely.
It does.
Yeah. He's not proud of it, but you know, can you
call that a date? This is a date. And then he's got, the animal. All right. So anyways, so you could dominate the world. It's clear that we're just scratching the surface. There's a new gang of enemies Cal must contend against. We also know Cal is visiting a new planet in the Star Wars fiction.
So that confirms the planet that most of the gameplay trailer's on, and the cover art and the teaser trailer is a brand new planet. I thought it might be Utapau, based on various things, but yeah, it confirms this is a completely new planet. So that probably debunks it's not Concord Dawn. That's the broken planet in the background.
Okay.
So that we have a brand new planet that's going to be the main place you'll be playing on, and a broken planet or moon in the sky above it for some reason. So that's also another mystery.
And so, wait, it is Concord Dawn?
No. I assume it debunks it, because if this is a brand new planet, it's like just near it. Like Mandalore's got to be in the sky nearby, which probably, I don't really know, but surely we know of another planet that's right next to Mandalore.
Yeah. It would be kind of hard for them to show, or for what we've seen to be what we've been seeing in The Mandalorian in the season 3 footage and stuff, and the sets and stuff like that.
Given how closely they tie this stuff up together, they'd know.
Yeah.
Like this story was Cameron mentioned, like they was writing this story like end of 2019, early 2020. So this will have all been done whilst they was doing like the Mando stuff. So
right. Yeah, the action and visuals with some particularly impressive ray tracing look phenomenal. All signs point to a sequel that is more than ready to step up from the role of Padawan to that of true Jedi Knight. And then it comes out on March 17th for PS5, Xbox Series XS, and the PC. So that sounds cool.
I also saw that it's been rated in Brazil today. It's age rated. So it's going to be, it's obviously basically almost done. And we'll be getting plenty of news hopefully in the new year.
Yeah. So was it rated the same as the previous game?
I think it has been, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'll be. It's really strange because it seems it's like teen in the it's teen in the US, but it was 16 plus here, so it's actually a little bit higher in the UK. Like it always tends to be a little bit higher over here for Star Wars stuff. Like Battlefront was 16, whereas it was teen in the US.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
On a side note, I for some reason remember when Attack of the Clones came out for you, Jango Fett did a headbutt to Obi-Wan, and you guys didn't have it.
Well, check this out, Jason. When I lived in Germany, I used to watch WWF on Sky TV out the UK, and anytime they went to a head hit, right, they'd cut to the crowd, but it was the same shot. They didn't have any other shots, so every episode 15 times, a week, like to the same exterior crowd shot. I was like, you gotta have at least another one, right? Nope, can't show it. But they would show the guy holding his head, screaming when they come back to it. Like, we all know what happened. You could hear it. He's holding on to his head. He's bleeding, but they can't show the head hit. Like
Right.
It's crazy.
So the Mandalorian one is like nothing. It's just like Grogu and his dad continue on what they're doing. So the official synopsis for Ahsoka reads, set after the fall of the Empire, Star Wars Ahsoka follows the former Jedi Knight Ahsoka Tano as she investigates an emerging threat to a vulnerable galaxy. So that lines up with the gist of what I've been saying about those other two shows, about Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew. That's essentially, and then the Skeleton Crew synopsis reads, Star Wars Skeleton Crew, set in the New Republic era, is about a group of kids lost in the Star Wars galaxy trying to find their way home. So nothing really new there, but also not exactly, it's compliant. And then this video is probably going to look terrible, but I put this up last night. This came out from like an ad, and it's really low quality footage. But
hey, it's Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net, and today we have some really weird promo footage from Star Wars Skeleton Crew of Jude Law. This was...
Nah, we can't hear you, Jason.
Mute yourself.
Shit. I saw it there, and I was just like, you know what? It looks like shit anyways. So, all right, let's talk about really quickly about that Indiana Jones bit. Remember that one I sent you earlier today, Rob? That thing was actually, I think, very important. I don't know if I'm sure he knows.
Hans Gold, that one he was curb stomping the fan for asking him about the movie.
Yeah,
very important. And litigation.
Litigation.
Like, I like it when they're like, this lighting looks fake. He's like, motherfucker, we shot that shit live. I was like you go get him, man.
Yeah.
You go get him.
that wasn't Mangold though, was it? That was just like
it was Mangold. No, it was Mangold. Okay. Yeah, it was him. He was like, we shot that live, man. Right. I'm adding all the fucking in the rage, but
holy shit! I feel like a piece of shit. I didn't realize I cut off the top. This is from the Indie News site. I did not mean to do that. I don't do that shit. I don't mean to do that. But
if only all the Star Wars Twitter news accounts had any thought like that.
Yeah. No, I really didn't mean to do that. Director Mangold confirms Indy's son Mutt will not be in Dial of Destiny, but the audience will, quote, find out what happened to him. The motherfucker died in Vietnam.
That's gotta be Vietnam.
I mean, something happened to him. Not what. I mean, well, that might be their editorializing, but when it said something happened to him, and then he also spoke about Waller Bridges.
Jason. Yeah, I can confirm. Originally, he was going to die in a follow-up film called Full Metal Jacket. Yeah.
Did you name him Mutt because he was
Full Metal Jacket?
Because that's a weird thing. That's a weird.
Yeah, we named him because he killed dogs.
You tried to warn us. To be fair, you did try.
Yeah, Dog Killer Jones didn't have or Williams didn't have the same thing, but So Full Metal Jacket. Man.
So this
I gotta go.
Here, this is what I found fascinating. He also spoke about Waller Bridges' Helena character. She's a daughter of a friend of Indy's who we will also meet in the movie. So that means two things. Either they did a fucking weird ass CGI Marcus Brody, because that was the rumor, but I don't think they would do that. I don't think they're going to CGI Marcus Brody and make her Helena's dad. So I'm wondering if she's the daughter of Toby Jones's character, and he had a name. I thought we knew his name. Basil, because remember we had all of these things related to a character named Basil. We think that's probably most likely who it is. So what if like Basil's like a huge nerd, and then that's his daughter who's like basically Indiana Jones?
That's when I joked and said her name is Oregano, and right. Keeping the family.
Yeah,
that's how you know.
Yeah, and then this is a new picture from the movie with Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Indiana Jones, and he's like, "Where's the bathroom? I need to go."
She's like, he's got incredibly long ear hairs. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Although she's like, "Oh my
He
god,
doesn't
men
groom
are
in the
gross.
60s.
They're so disgusting."
It's a good time to bring up he could get mutscaped. Anytime you want to go kill a dog and then shave, you can get mutscaped. Yeah. For all your dog killing, mutt grooming ways, you fucking piece of shit. That fucking guy, man. Fuck that guy, dude. Seriously.
But
yeah.
But so in theory, if this new Star Wars game, to go back to the Star Wars game real quick, if it is like the second of a third, this should be like the darker of the this should be like our Empire Strikes Back-y one.
It does sound like, given what they keep saying, like he's going to make decisions that, like Cameron was saying, like Cal's going to make decisions that you wouldn't necessarily think he's going to make. I think he might have to like sort of maybe sacrifice some of the crew. That might be some of like he's going to have to like lose, I don't know, Sia probably, or Grease or whatever. He's going to have to lose something to.
Yeah.
There's got to be something because no one died at the end. Like they all survived the first game.
He lets Sia die, and then he goes, "Wouldn't want to be ya," right? Right. Get real 80s with it. Yeah.
Well, like
I do think it's going to go that way.
But what I find interesting about the Fallen Order story or saga or whatever is that it what's her name is like the last Dathomir witch, right?
She is, yeah.
And so we have this other series going on with Ahsoka that's like there's more of them guys, like a different thing. So I kind of wonder if this game may actually meet up with it.
I did think when you first told me about it, I was like, well, this can only make sense if somehow, because Merrin is the last one and has been for a very long time. So there's got to be a story in which they come back somehow. She's the only one, but how, I don't know, because they're all like zombies on in the game.
Zombies.
So I don't know. I don't know. I can't imagine she's going to be in Skeleton Crew. So surely, but when does Skeleton Crew come out? 2024, right?
Maybe. I think so.
Because,
no, a rush production, so they're cranking these out.
The game comes out in March. I kept thinking the game's coming out at the end of next year. So maybe if it connects, it will make sense because the game comes out before.
Yeah, I mean, Skeleton Crew could be very end of the year, but I doubt it. I would think it's going to be. Wait, Disney. Wait, what? Disney confirmed what? Did Disney confirm it's coming out in 2024? No. They confirmed it for 2023 yesterday.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot. Yeah,
in that video. Yeah. Duh. Yeah, that video was so dumb. It was.
To be honest, it's so vague. They could just be like, it's like Mando. Yeah. It was going to be probably towards the end of this year. It's got moved. So, but I also saw a big screen leak said because Bespin originally said they was going to finish filming this month. I think they said that's not true because it's going way worse than what you've reported is. So
well, I don't know about that. I mean, the one thing that like about my story on that stuff, like I'm not saying they're wrong or anything like that. I don't know when it ends, but it's really slowed down though. So I don't know if it hit a fucking stop. But it really slowed down. Like I thought it was.
Yeah, they said your article was the tip of the iceberg and how bad it is. Apparently, something like that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, a lot of people left. New people came on. The new people are having a better time, so it kind of doesn't surprise me. But this started at Mandalorian. That's the thing that needs to be recognized. Is this started on Mandalorian 3. And it goes through all of these productions. They're barely different. They are different, but barely different. That's what's kind of like important.
People keep saying always a problem with Star Wars projects, and I'm like, but Andor. Everyone seems to have forgotten Andor seemed like it was fine, and everyone's like, well, everything Disney's
and The Last
touched,
Jedi.
And
Last Jedi was because I don't like those ones sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
You're not winning anyone with that argument, but I get what you're saying.
But it's true. I mean,
but production was easy. Yeah.
Rian Johnson went in. He wrote that shit smoothly. He filmed it smoothly. The only problems I ever heard about that were truly a thing were Carrie Fisher fucking being wild as fuck, and that's just Carrie being Carrie. And
most people don't know that stuff. Like that's the thing. They don't know. Literally, no, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I also think that Star Wars fans, like, I don't mean this like in a disrespectful way, but it's like, there's like a difference between like if you've watched like 150 movies this year, or if you've watched Star Wars and you only follow Star Wars, you think that everything happening to Star Wars is somehow unique to Star Wars when it's not. In fact, it's how fucking
it's like games.
Most movies
games
go.
are a miracle that they're even made, and like when
you can say that again.
Yeah,
like when there's like a Star Wars game cancelled, right? Everyone says it's Disney, it's EA. Why is it always been cancelled? Well, there's actually been a bunch of games that have come out very well done, very well polished. Just because you didn't like them, like Squadrons, for example, was a small team. Mm-hmm. Now, people from that era, like 20 odd years ago, wanted a new TIE Fighter X-Wing style game. Well, there was a group of developers that wanted to make it. They pitched it to EA. EA said, yeah, do it. Small project, small team, do whatever you want. They did that. It's one of the most polished games I've played. Almost literally no bugs that I experienced in it, right? Fantastic. They delivered this product, and just because it's Starfighters, because it's first person, because it's too immersive for some people, they thought it's a bad game and they don't want to touch it. And it's like they greenlit this game. It didn't get cancelled. It went through less than like 2 years of development. It's got VR support. Really well done. And then all everyone cares about is because one reporter revealed that a Battlefront spin-off got cancelled, the Ragtag got cancelled, and then another game got cancelled. But
can I explain to you why this is as it true? I'm gonna explain this, and maybe you understand. This is because these assholes who grew up with Xbox Live have taken over video game fandom. So to them, all they understand is Battlefront and Starkiller. That's it for them. That's all Star Wars is. That's all Star Wars is for them is Battlefront or Starkiller. Battlefront or Star, and Fallen Order is just more Starkiller. It's all that is.
But so it's worse Starkiller. That's the problem. A lot of people have.
I would agree. I would agree.
It's like with Battlefront. Even then, there is still a huge portion of the internet that think it's a bad game because loot boxes are in its space when they were actually removed the day before the game even came out. Like,
if they put out just like a fun small team. Fun pod racing game, you'd never hear the fucking end of it. Why are you spending time on this when you could be making Battlefront 3? It's like the Zack Snyder fucking Henry Cavill crowd people who just anytime you do anything a little bit out of the fucking wheelhouse, you're just gonna hear an onslaught.
That's what happened with Squadrons because Squadrons was announced early 2020, and that was when Battlefront ended. And for whatever reason, everyone assumed the reason why Squadrons is happening is because they cancelled Battlefront 2. When it was a completely different studio, they made the Battlefront campaign. That's what they moved on to after that. It has no correlation to Battlefront. And still to this day, I have to try and educate people. Squadrons was the idea of a small group of people that made it. They was allowed to make it. Has nothing to do with Battlefront 2. It just so happened it was announced like a couple of months after Battlefront 2 ended, has no impact on Battlefront. If anything, they actually helped because it was with Frostbite. I knew about it through the Battlefront developers. I knew before the game 2 years before the game was even out. Like they share assets. Like there was stuff with Rogue One. A lot of the Rogue One assets were shared with Battlefront and stuff they made for Battlefront. They shared because even Kathleen said in an interview they share stuff between Frostbite and the films now, and like that's great. Like. And then, of course, it's a bad thing. Reusing assets, that's what they say. They've got to remake the same thing. That's their whole thing.
What a colossal waste of time that would be.
I know.
You know,
it's like a bunch of the generic soldier heads. They've been reused in Battlefront 2, and DICE even used them in like Battlefield. And it's like, who cares? But they've got a problem because they've just reused. And it's like, you cover them up with soldier helmets and stuff anyway, so who cares? But that's a big issue for some people.
Well, like back in the day, LucasArts would release a game and it would be completely shit, or it wouldn't come out, or it would be broken, or it would be canceled.
But that's not what the internet remembers.
Obi-Wan
remembered what they bought.
That Obi-Wan game, it came out yesterday on the anniversary. I tweeted about it. Oh, this is the most underrated Star Wars game of all time. They should remaster it. Why is there no sequel? And it's like, okay. There's also this really annoying image, right? That really gets me. It was posted when it was when Fallen Order was announced, but they just cancelled like another Star Wars game. It got leaked, they cancelled it. And it was like games before EA, and it was like all the LucasArts, like all, however 20, 30 odd games. And then it was like 2013 to 2019, Fallen Order, Battlefront 2. And it's like, that doesn't include the Lego Star Wars game, which wasn't made by EA, but it was still really, really big. It takes time to make a game. So you start the clock at 2013 because they signed a license. It takes time to make a game. So let's say it starts from 2015. So 2015, you have a game. 2016, Lego Star Wars. 2017, Battlefront. 2019, Fallen Order. 2020, Squadrons. That's one game a year for 4 years. That's pretty good. But it doesn't fit the narrative of having 5 Revenge of the Sith, Order 66 murder simulator games every single year. Which is funny because now, when it was reported that Disney won at least 2 Star Wars games a year, one big game and one maybe small game or a mobile game, that's bad. It's too much. They're going to force them out. They're going to rush them out. It's like they've opened it up to anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so frustrating. Like, you
mobile
just
games
can't
are lame.
educate anyone.
Let's be honest. The most underrated Star Wars game of all time is Revenge of the Sith on the Game Boy Advance, and I don't even like Revenge of the Sith. That's how good that game is.
I love that game on PS2.
Yeah,
I played that before I saw the film, so I was really surprised when the cut scenes out of the film were in the game and they weren't in the film. I was like, wait, what? Where's these assassin clones? Like, why are they not in the film? They were so cool and hard.
The game is better than the film.
Yeah, there was a Korean game store, and they would sell imported games like in Korean. But if you told them what you wanted, they'd get it for you, like, and they would sell it to you before the release date. So that was how we got Revenge of the Sith like about a week and a half before it came out. And yeah, it was like all the spoilers are true. That's fun, Yeah, Star Wars Eclipse is never coming out. Probably.
See, that's another strange one. It's like, it's one of the most interesting, like, obviously the trailer is literally made up of assets that were made for a completely other game, but in terms of like the Trade Federation stuff, like, that is really interesting, like 100 years before the Phantom Menace. But there again, people have been begging Star Wars games to be announced years in advance, right? So now Lucasfilm have been okay with saying, okay, there's an open world Star Wars game, there's Star Wars Eclipse, this stuff, years in advance. And now they're complaining they're announcing it too early. And I'm like, you guys complained when EA announced a game, revealed it a couple of months later, then released it 6 months after that. In the same year, you got everything from a game. And now they're like wanting to go back to that. And it's just, I don't know. It's like, that's why you wouldn't know about these cancelled games if it wasn't leaked by a reporter from developers.
Right.
And there's way more cancelled games because they just don't talk about them. Like Battlefront 3 obviously got cancelled, and we only know about it because the main guy who left talked about it and stuff like that. But I think even there was the Knights of the Old Republic 3 that BioWare wanted to make. That was pitched multiple times, but people don't think that ever happened. Like it was really strange. It didn't.
You know what people don't like about that story about Knights of the Old Republic 3 is that they said they took what they were doing from Knights of the Old Republic 3 and turned it into the Old Republic, and that they had a 4th game also planned.
See, I didn't know
that. And then they took them and they took all of the story elements. Then they threw them into the MMO. But it's there. So technically 3 and 4 do exist. They're just in an MMO. And people I don't
See, that's another interesting case because that I don't really remember because I was probably too young at the time, but I remember it didn't it was like really hyped up, but then it didn't do very well. But I look at it as people say, how is that still going? Why is it still going? Like, who cares about this? It brings in EA tons of money every single month because people still pay for it. It's been going like 11 years now. So there's a reason why they're still making content for it. So it's like Galaxy of Heroes. The worst part is that this one mobile game has outlasted the actual good Star Wars games, but it's made like $1.5 billion for a mobile game with literal no cost. Whereas Battlefront, it costs so much to make content for. It was so hard to make content for. Galaxy of Heroes has made more than most films have ever done. And it's like, but people are still paying for it. So people blame the developers and the publishers, but it's like they're adding Legends characters, like they're adding all the Knights of the Old Republic characters, they're adding everyone from Expanded Universe, but people are willing to spend money on it. Like I know people that have spent thousands upon thousands on it, and I'm like, why would you? But at the same time, they're the reasons why these games still happen. And then Battlefront, pay for a skin, that's a bad idea. Because that's the thing. It was around the time Fortnite was getting popular. Paying for skins in Battlefront, very, very bad. Like this will go into another story. So there was a big YouTuber, right? He's really big now, huge, millions of subscribers. He was still really big at this time. I was like 10,000 subscribers. So Battlefront just got the new update that changed all the progression. This was like the beginning of fixing everything. And I made a video just showing like the new skins, how it all works and stuff. And this YouTuber just used my gameplay. So he took my video, put it in, and I was like, oh, this guy's use my 15 seconds of my gameplay, because it's in-game gameplay. It's not of you playing, but it's gameplay. No credit. And he blocked me. And then people was tagging him. And then I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And it's like one of my YouTuber friends tweeted about it. And then I went to sleep. I woke up the following morning to death threats. I was like, what's going on here? He made a video about me saying, when you are accused of stealing, and he deleted his previous video and then made an entire 10 minutes video about how bad I was for complaining he didn't credit me because I mentioned he stole my gameplay. And like this guy, and it's got like 1 million views. It still gains views because it's just a generic thing about, it's one of those like videos that a lesson to teach people about copyright, those sort of videos, like it's evergreen sort of thing. And it was about me. I've never watched it because I was like, I got so much, like I left my video up because I was just playing Ewok Hunt. And it wasn't even a big, I was just like playing Ewok Hunt, showing the new
He said Ewok Hunt.
Ewok Can you imagine trying to explain this to our grandfathers, Jason? You know what I mean? You just imagine in the 80s, my grandfather was confused by the Transformers. You know, like can you imagine trying to explain this scenario to the elderly in 1985? Like, geez, they just
that was my worst ever day on the internet, because I had like 600,000 people see me as a bad person for asking for my name to be put in a description of a video. And because it was Battlefront at this time, it was the most hated game still. Like this was like it was April, so it was a few months after the release, but it was still the most hated thing. So their whole thing was, oh, he likes Battlefront. Battlefront YouTubers, they exist. What an awful game. And it's like
they all own the game though. Is it true?
Well, like, a bunch of them said
yeah, all lying. They all own it.
Did. And the thing is that the worst part is that people like boycotted it and cancelled the pre-orders. Didn't really do much, right? It really didn't. It was number one trend on Twitter. Didn't actually do anything. But the biggest issue is that the media and the gamers got it completely wrong. Like the mathematics behind it, how it was pay to win stuff, was completely wrong. Like everyone just ran with it because one guy made a video. So there's another thing. So he was part of the program I'm with, right? So we got to play the game early, record it all. There was a playtest that we weren't allowed to record because it hadn't been approved by Lucasfilm yet. So no, don't record. And it's like, yeah, just don't record. You record the early in the day, you can't record this. Well, this guy decided he's going to keep recording and upload the gameplay, right? Well, this set alarm bells off to Lucasfilm. They were furious. They wanted to shut the whole thing down. Like this is a week before the game came out or something like that. So it was all going crazy. And he got kicked out for doing this because it was a violation. Like he'd broken his NDA and stuff like that. So he got kicked out. Then he made a video with all these mathematics about how pay to win is. But it was completely wrong. It was like, to unlock Vader and Luke, you've got to play this amount of hours, spend this amount of money, and to unlock everything in the game, like every upgrade for each card that you'll never use.
I remember this.
His whole thing was people that play early are shills and don't like the game. The game's bad, but also you need to unlock everything in the game. Well, in what multiplayer game do you unlock every single item and use every single item. Like a lot of the star cards in Battlefront, those are just skins. Those are just skins. But like in terms of like unlockables and stuff, like let's say Call of Duty for example, there's always like one gun you gravitate towards to. A lot of them you don't touch. Like pretty much every multiplayer game is like that. Even for someone who's got 2,000 hours in Battlefront, there are some star cards I've probably used once or never used, right? Because they're just there for fluff, right? But his whole thing was he was taking into account everything for every hero, every trooper, every vehicle. And it's like no one is ever going to need all of those within like a week of playing. So that factored into like how much you had to pay. Well, the thing is, the costs were completely out. They was raised, but also decreased before the game even came out. No loot boxes even existed. I was on a phone call before the midnight launch. They were taking them out of the game. They was removed from the game. So everyone assumed the game was completely pay to win at release and all the mathematics was correct. Completely false. But if you try telling that people, they didn't like that. And all the game's media reported it as fact. They didn't, because all they do is just copy each other's story. They don't actually do any investigating themselves. And we were the ones that were doing the investigating and saying, look, it's not that bad. And then it was, we're the bad guys because we went and played it early. And even when we was there, the developers were like, we don't know what this is. Like, even the developers themselves didn't know the system. Like, they didn't know the system because it was like a last-minute addition from someone higher up. I wish I knew the story. I never knew. I never got announced, even from the very top of the developers. I never knew. But there again, some people have ruined Battlefront, and it's like, I'll never forgive them because that's my game and all of my friends' game. And it was like just a great game at its core. It set it back a year. All of the developers that worked so hard on it got screwed because the facts were wrong. And a lot of them never had any intention of buying the game as well. Like, they don't even like Star Wars. So
I'll tell you what, Azatru, none of that's going to happen with that Avatar game. You know what I mean? None of that's going to happen. So
no, and that's essentially what it was like with the Star Wars film community. Is, I mean, most of the people who were turning on the new films turned on the last films. And I was just like, I knew, I said this the whole time. I'm like, it's only a matter of time before it becomes more profitable to hate these than to embrace them. And then, but the place where I was a little bit wrong is that it's still in the Disney ecosystem. So it's a bit bigger than it used to be, where before it's just like, well, fuck you, Lucasfilm. We're not in the business of you anymore. But with Disney, it means a little bit more because you got Marvel and you got, Avatar now.
It's like also people do this with EA. Like, it's a faceless corporation, but the actual people making the games and making a lot of the decisions and, the games themselves are built by people that actually, like, some of the biggest Star Wars fans I know are the ones that made Battlefront. Like, they knew every little. That's why all the like descriptions for the skins have got so many references. And like Lucasfilm was like, "Oh yeah, this is amazing stuff." And a lot of the like decisions behind the games weren't made by the corporate side. They were made by the developers for the betterment of the game. For example, the game was making no money, right? Because they removed everything you could make money. Like, you couldn't spend any money on the game. So they announced all the content would be free. So they had to stick with that because that was the whole thing about every map, character, whatever is free. How do you make money for a game that costs money to make content for and run? Well, they put out, this goes back to that video that guy made. They put out a bunch of, like, there wasn't that many. There was like 8 skins. They weren't even that good. It was like, they was trying to get the ball moving. And it was like, it was like 20,000 credits, 40,000 credits. And his whole thing in his video was that it was going to take time to, like, you'd have to play the game to earn skins, or you could spend money. And like the legendary skins, the Han Solo, and Lando skins, they were 80,000, right? Well, yeah, they took a while, and yeah, they cost like £15, which is extortionate. But when you look at Fortnite, Fortnite's free to play, but like these skins change the voices, Fortnite skins just change a lot, stuff like that, and you could actually play the game and just get the skins. You just had to play the game. And another thing, the maths didn't take into account the challenges. Like, challenges have been a part of games for as long as I can remember, especially multiplayer games. You do a challenge, you get XP, you get credits. literally no one accounted for challenges, which gave you loads of credit. So earning skins, you could earn skins so quickly that by the next month, everyone was complaining there weren't no skins because everyone had them.
Yeah, I had no problem.
That became an issue with Battlefront because no one was spending money to get skins because everyone had credits so quickly. So then there was like, okay, what do? We tried to release more, but it also cost time to make the skins. They couldn't reduce the rate of how you earn credits because that would look bad. So for 2 years, they were making content, making absolute no money, and just burning through cash. And we didn't get what we couldn't. It couldn't be still on go. Like they had plans for like at least 2021. That's as far as I know.
Yeah.
But it's just sad because every month, like it's insane. Almost every single month, we got something new. That was a cadence like only sort of Fortnite was doing at that time, and they like Call of Duty and Fortnite have hundreds, if not thousands, of people making it. Battlefront was like a small team, a very small.
I just want to say I love EA. As a corporate shill, I'm a company man. I love them. You know, I love everyone that funds games. I'm just letting y'all know out there. I got a vested interest to not be like, fuck that dev, that publisher.
So the Crawling Chaos says Battlefront was a $60 game. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be. Like, it was at release, but it wasn't later on. Year after release, it's not $60. It was like $10, $15. So if you're buying that, plus you want some skins, it's not a big deal. But then also people go and spend $60 on Call of Duty or something, and then spend $60 on a season pass. This game didn't have that. It was completely free. Every month we got new content that you could earn. All the heroes and maps were there for free. It was just the skins that you had to play a couple of hours and play some game modes that you might not have to.
It was not hard to get the skins. I had them,
and that was
all
detrimental to the game because it was
yeah.
so easy to earn stuff. They couldn't release skins fast enough, and they didn't have they didn't have the people to model the skins. They barely had anyone, so they were exhausted, only releasing like a few skins a time. And that was a big issue for the game. And they modeled heroes relatively quickly, but those heroes never came out. That's what I got told. Like, because the heroes were another thing. They take so long. Like, another thing I learned about was like how the voice acting was one of the biggest issues, because the voice acting for the English could be fine, but they had to get really good voice actors for, I don't know, let's say 12 different languages. And if one of those voice actors isn't very good, then it gets delayed. And I think it might have been General Grievous, I can't remember, or Obi-Wan. The German voice was really bad. It wasn't the guy they used for all the films. And that they finally fixed it, but they weren't going to like delay Obi-Wan but it took months before they could get the voice actor. It's like the legendary skins with the custom voices. There was only like 4 legendary skins. It's Princess Leia's Bode, General Grievous, Solo, and Lando, because getting all those voice actors, like scheduling and stuff like that, it was a nightmare. And people just want, that was the thing. Why don't you just use the audio clips from the films?
Yeah.
And it's like, but
yeah, sound effects.
It's just, and when I played Battlefront for the first time with those sound effects from the voice lines from The Force Awakens, and it was horrendous.
Right.
And it's like when people mod the game, they use the voice lines from the films, and it just doesn't work like an actual custom voice line that people have directed and wrote lines.
Multiverses did that with Rick and Morty. No.
Games are completely different to films. Like, you're in that, you're in the film, and that's why they had to write so many different voice lines. And it's like, audio is such a big part of the game. Like Battlefront has amazing audio.
Why doesn't the AI button just have a fucking make game button? Like, just make the game. Game's made. That's. But look, this is why it's so important. This is why it's so important that I think with teaser trailers for video games or movies, anything with a budget, is instead of giving me some CGI fucking like story slow driven thing that eats up 3 minutes, is just start with actual devs, show them making the game, show them making the project. Like do if you're a 3 or 4 minute trailer, give me like, make a 6 minute trailer and give me 3 minutes of showing how they make the shit, and then go to the game and then come back. Here's how we do this, and just start informing people, of how the fucking shit's made, so they can appreciate it more. But the problem is, the minute you start showing devs, then fucking you got those assholes out there who go, I'm gonna go find who these people are and I'm gonna go harass them because they didn't make the Star Killer thing the way I like it. Blah blah blah.
They should have though. They should have though. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. It's really interesting because Fallen Order had that. It wasn't like an amazing documentary, but it was like 90 minutes of actually showing the development of the game, and it showed probably more of a development of a Star Wars project than anything else. Like
my favorite thing ever, man.
Good stuff.
My favorite thing ever for game development is the Double Fine Adventure series. That Double Fine put out. Originally it was a Kickstarter, and then so like what they do is they it's called Amnesia Fortnite, right? So like what they'll do is every so often they'll stop production for a month on anything they're working on, and then they get the whole company together and everyone pitches an idea for a game. They kind of vote on which one they want to make, and they'll do multiple projects or one game, and then they break everyone into groups, and they have 1 week to kind of like 1 or 2 weeks to like build the demo, and whichever one sort of survives the process is kind of like the games that set them up in the future. It's kind of games they make later on down the road, and this gives people in development a chance to do things they never would have, because Tim Schafer, the guy who runs Double Fine, was always in a position where people are like, hey, why don't you like train a new Tim Schafer? He's like, because we're making projects, we don't have time for this. How do we train someone? We're always in development. So he wanted a way for people who might be in sound to be in a leadership position, of people who might be in animation to be doing sound and voice work or whatever. And so they've documented all these. They're free to watch on their YouTube channel, Amnesia Fortnite. Put them in and see how this shit's made. When you only have 2 weeks to do it, even with seasoned professionals, like how can you get a completed playable thing, that you can turn on, play it, get the loop, turn it off. And I just think like that is so important to educate for those who give a shit. I mean, there's going to be those fans who just, I don't want to see how it's made. I just want it delivered now. Customer's always right. There's always going to be those fucking dickweeds. But at least like when you show them when you show them from Star Wars to Jedi, when you show them how they're making the shit, you can appreciate it. And they appreciate it forever. It's evergreen material. No one goes, man, remember how they made Return of the Jedi? Shit was stupid. It's old. 20 years later, it ages even better. When you find out how they made shit on the prequels, even if you didn't like the movies, you can appreciate the fucking effort it took to get it on screen,
I really like how they actually included it with the game, and it's literally just in the main menu for Fallen Order. Like, they don't have to go looking for it; it's right there. But one of my concerns with Jedi Survivor is that maybe they'll do it, but you have to pay for it. Like, it's not included with the game. But there's no word about that. But in contrast, which is in a good way, the Dead Space remake and Skate from EA, they've been like literally showing like all the white box, like early concept stuff in development. But we're never going to get that with Star Wars because Lucasfilm will be too scared that anything's shown. That's the problem. Because like it seems like EA's going that route, whereas Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, like we've seen nothing other than that gameplay trailer that's really polished for the most part, and we'll likely see literally nothing showing it in sort of a bad light, other than like the odd. Like I saw some clipping in like the cutscene of what the gameplay trailer, but it's really well handpicked. Probably. If they want, like Respawn, they probably would want to show what they've been building for like the last 2 years or whatever. But yeah, so it's a shame that we might not be getting like a documentary for Jedi Survivor.
Hopefully. Arya asked, did Nick Gillard have drama after Revenge of the Sith? No, he did not. He was a victim of Disney's prequel-itis, where real sets, practical locations. And then J.J. Abrams saw fucking Game of Thrones and started casting, what's her name, to be like Captain Phasma and all of that. And then he brought in the Game of Thrones people to be the sword master. And Nick was asked out. I actually was the person who got up and did the work on that story. I said, hey, Nick, are you on it? And he said, I'm afraid that ship has sailed. They never talked to me.
Yeah, he should have been included in Kenobi. Like, there's just no excuse for it. Whether you're a fan of it or not, I mean, that's the guy who did the prequel. It should have been.
But that's no. Listen, I'm with you on that front. But their perspective is we're not doing that. We're making the lightsaber battles matter because that's what Twitter said to do, where it's drama and you hold the light.
Yeah, when you're already making Kenobi, you're out of that argument.
But then they criticized that element of it. I mean, the truth is that like it was supposed what they were going for with Kenobi was the middle ground. It was supposed to be the phase in between episode 3 and episode 4. It was supposed to be episode 3.45, if you will, in terms of what they were doing. And I agree with you. They should have brought him. I think it would have. I don't think he should. I liked the people who they have are talented, and that they should definitely still work with those people. But they also should have used him. But also, it might. I don't know if he lives in the United States. I think he's from Azatru land, and so he may be over there. Living his best.
It's called Azatrunia. Don't disrespect them.
Azatronia. Yeah, that's right.
Azatrunia. Yeah. Come on. But we gotta go.
Yeah,
it's been an hour and a half.
That might be why. I mean, I don't know. I want to know what was up with those crystals I got. I never got to buy a character with them, but I got those crystals for some reason. I don't remember. You remember that in the game? You had like crystals and like you just like couldn't spend them or something.
Yeah, I've got a bunch because
am I misremembering that, or was that a thing?
No, so so crafting parts were a currency that there was at the launch of the game where they were like you got those alongside credits and you crafted those would craft the star cards, but obviously you got rid of it, so now you can't use them. But crystals were the ones that you paid real money for, and I've got because like I was obviously having to make videos, so I bought the skins because I wanted them instantly. I didn't have because back then you couldn't earn much credits, and day one, and I bought like £40 worth the day it came out and spent like 20 when the first skins dropped and never spent any again. Like that's how generous this game was. It's like the most generous game. You got 3 years of content of all eras, most content of any other Star Wars game, and loads of you ungrateful people moaned and lied and got it killed. And I will never forgive plenty of people.
And it's one of the best Star Wars games ever made.
And I'll never forget
where it rests. It is.
And I'll never forgive the people who made Crackdown 2 and 3 because that's nothing like the original Crackdown. The original Crackdown is my jam.
Crackdown
was surprisingly fun.
I enjoyed that.
Taryn says Respawn has 3 games that we know of in some form of development: Jedi Survivor, an FPS Star Wars game, and a new single-player game in the Apex universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those like free-to-play games, like Fortnite-ish, but more serious. Yeah.
But Tyrant also said earlier that people prefer to spend £15-20 for an expansion pack. Not with Star Wars. Mm-hmm. I've been through it. They don't want to spend a single bit of money on Battlefront. Like, I had talks. They wanted to somehow introduce a way to earn a bit of money to keep the game going. And if they even said a word, the whole of the internet would have complained, even if it was just cosmetic stuff.
And it's crazy
everything
because Star Wars is synonymous with mindless consumers. Oh, I gotta get this new Luke Skywalker. He's got kind of browner hair than the other one. It might be a variant. Better pick it up carded. Like that's what I mean. That's what we do.
It's those sort of fans. Those sort of fans are the kinds that did actually enjoy Battlefront and play it. It was like the sort of the fringes who were already annoyed by Last Jedi, and there was going in to hate the Last Jedi. They didn't huge fans of the Force Awakens. Then the Battlefront drama happens. They also believed games media that were like they had this agenda to bring this game down and try and like regulate loot boxes. But since then, there have been games like Call of Duty, far more popular games that have had far worse implementations, and no one cares. Mm-hmm. It's all good, but because it was Star Wars,
I care.
It was my Luke.
No one listens to me. So.
Because it was my Luke Skywalker, my Darth Vader that I couldn't play. Actually, could play day one. They removed it the day before. Like that's
to be fair.
It's insane.
To be fair, as it's true, when Gran Turismo came out with that, you got to spend $100,000 to get all the fucking cars and tracks. Bought Plan 2, they took a colossal shit on that game for doing it. Well, so there was.
Sorry, there was, but it's because it's not Star Wars. Like I don't know what it is, but there's an image of Darth Vader and some stormtroopers on the Death Star, and that's the image EA used when they announced no loot boxes, and it's the same image every single news site uses when it comes to Battlefront, and it triggers me. It's like. flashbacks to when I saw it. It's just this negative image that everyone uses, something bad about Battlefront, and it was always used, or this is coming to Battlefront, but you have to play the game to get the skins. You don't get them right away, and it's like, it's so frustrating.
Did you hear what Kathleen Kennedy said about it?
No.
Business, and she just like sort of looked at me and took a sip of her drink and said, "You keep that ass up, girl. Keep that ass up." She's not wrong.
That ass up.
None of us can top that. Let's be honest. I just wanted to put it out there. I've been waiting for my Star Wars strategy RPG game like Final Fantasy Tactics for almost 20-something years now, and I'm still not getting it. Yeah. See? That's a move. You do that move right on the board. You know?
All right, guys. I do have to go get the kids from school, so it is the end of the show. Hey, As It True, thanks for hanging out with us and sharing all of the Battlefront video game knowledge on the Star Wars universe, and everybody knows that they should follow As It True.
You got a little As It Triggered. It was great to watch.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you what.
As It True on chain, unleashed.
People are still wrong in the chat. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, you try and tell them the facts, and that they still believe in something from 5 years ago that some journalist that is paid a low minimum wage just to copy someone else's article told them. Like, well, try and learn something. Like, I made videos.
If you heard one idea, you don't want to hear another one. You learn the one. You don't want to relearn another one. That's like fucking. What am I supposed to do? Think on the internet?
Yeah.
On my internet? Is it true? No. No. But you know, and I remember it was that what you're saying is true. That's how it unfolded, and then it just speaks more to the fact that these kind of platforms reward being a shithead rather than just reward the truth or positivity.
Yeah, it's like the videos about Battlefront at the time literally have millions of views, more than some of the trailers, right?
Yeah.
But all the videos that actually report stuff, mine got like 1,000. Yeah. And that was the people that usually watched me at the time.
Right. Because
whatever.
Hey, that'll teach you to tell the truth. No, thanks, man. And we'll obviously have As It True on anytime he's free. You're always welcome to hang out with me and my Force Ghost friend Rob Strudelcraft. All right. Yeah. Say bye, Rob.
I like the Strudelcraft. Oh, I eat a strudel. Yes.
Say bye,
it's strudel season.
Say bye, Strudelcraft. So we
Guten Tag. Oh, sorry. Goodbye.
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go.
Hey! It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go. Hey!
You know you should go.
Come on, let's go.
It's not about spaceships.